This is not with me, so there's a real Grand Slam. It's a shame we only have a shiur once a week. If we had a shiur like 3 times a day, you'd get stories forever and ever. You could write like diaries. But anyway, there was a boy who happened to know. I happened to know because I cared to find out after I heard the story. Because I don't say over stories unless I know that every detail is 1,000,000% verified. And he was at the dating age. He was 23. And he was from a more, not Hasidic, it's called Haimish, whatever, somewhere in the middle sector of Orthodox Judaism. And over there, they normally get married when they're like 18, 19. So 23 is already old for them. I think 23 is a baby who didn't start his life yet, but whatever. By him, it was a pressure. And he used to get a lot of dates. He had a very good name in yeshiva. But in the yeshiva world in Israel, in the US we do it differently, but in Israel, before a blind date is literally a blind date. When you go out with a girl, you don't know what the girl looks like before you meet her, and the girl doesn't know what you look. There's no picture exchanging or FaceTiming or nothing. You show up to a designated location and you meet the person, and now you're either in for a pleasant surprise or a horrific one, but that's what's going to be. So he would get many dates with many nice families, great girls, and he never got past the first date. Because every time a girl would see him, she didn't like the way he looked so much, for a very, very technical reason. He had a very large scar on his cheek. It looked ugly, simple as that. And one day he went to Chaim Kנייbsky, Shlita, Hashem should send him a long life. And he told him he doesn't know what to do. Like this, he's never going to get married. He's 23 already and that, and he wants to get married. He says, Rabbi, what's it my fault that I have a scar? It's not my fault. Reb Chaim normally doesn't say anything. He just answers bua and that's it. This boy answered. He felt his pain. He told him, let me tell you what to do. Let me tell you what to do. The next time you go out with a girl, when you sit down, before you even tell her good evening, the first thing you say is, you'll excuse me, but before we exchange even any words, I'd like to explain to you where my scar came from. And tell her however it happened. And then continue the conversation. So he tells Reb Chaim, but I don't feel comfortable doing that, this, that. He says, otherwise the whole time she's going to be wondering, and this, it doesn't make any sense. Like this, she'll know what it is, she'll know if she can handle it or not, if it bothers her or not. Chaim's the Gdol Ador, he says something, you do it. A few days later, he gets a date, he goes out with a girl. Meets her in the Ramada Hotel in Jerusalem, in the lobby. He sits down, she sits down, and not even hello, and he says, I want to tell you where the scar... She feels very uncomfortable, because obviously he thought she looked, and she thought he saw her looking, so it's like an awkward moment. And he says, no, it has nothing to do with you. It's the Gdol Ador. Chaim Kנייbsky told me that whenever I go out with a girl, I should tell her right away where my scar came from. So at that point, what's she going to say? Don't tell me. So she said, okay, tell me. So I'll tell you what happened. When I was 17, it was Sukkot, Chol HaMoed Sukkot, after Birkat Kohanim. I was walking through Shar Shechem to go back to get a train, a Kevet Kala, whatever, in Jerusalem, to go back to my house. And as I was walking through, over there in Shar Shechem, I saw an Arab guy come out of a store and start chasing a young Jewish girl. And the Jewish girl was like, didn't know what to do. And this guy looked like he had all the blood in his eyes, and he had a knife in his hands. And I saw it could end very ugly. So I decided to be a hero and try and save her from this Arab. And I chased the Arab guy, and I caught up with him, and I knocked him down on the floor, and we had a big battle. The girl got to safety, but in the meantime the army came. But while me and this Arab guy were having a fight, he succeeded to slice my face with the knife. And by the way, this is a story that you can find online, this part of it. It was all over the media then when it happened. It didn't happen that many years ago. And that's why I have a scar. You know, they fixed me up, thank God. My life wasn't, didn't hit my throat or anything, but I have a scar from that story. And as he's saying the story, the girl's turning paler and paler and paler and paler, and she starts crying. And she picks up her head and she says, Mazel Tov, we're engaged. And he's like, I don't know your name. What do you mean we're engaged? And she says, I was the girl. And to every other girl in the world, that scar is going to be the most ugly thing in the world, and every girl's going to tell you no. To me, that scar is the most beautiful thing I can possibly find on this world. Because that scar is what saved my life. That's why I'm here. Look at the Ruach HaKodesh of Chaim to tell him it's an unbelievable story on many, many fronts. When you go out to work tomorrow morning, every person you interact with can either be an ugly scar or it can be a beautiful thing that's going to make you a happier person, leading and building a happier life. It's great to see you all.